The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention added several new manifestations to its existing list of symptoms for COVID-19.
The CDC has long said that fever, cough, and shortness of breath are indications that someone might have the disease caused by the novel coronavirus. It has now added 6 more conditions that may come with the disease: chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, and new loss of taste or smell. Joining us now to discuss this is our Chief Medical Editor, Dr. Corey Hebert. Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, good. You're not having any chills, are you?
Well, I get the chills every day thinking about this virus. New Orleans, we have a really big day today because it was our first day where we had 0 deaths. So we are celebrating, but not prematurely, because we know that we have to stay the course for things to get to where they need to be. But these new symptoms, I think, are very important because we know that we've had a 7-fold increase in strokes in people without pre-existing illnesses under the age of 50 as the presenting symptom of COVID-19 infection. So every day, doctors are collaborating to see exactly what symptoms are going to be happen to be put on this new list. We've known that the fever and shaking, chills, and all that kind of stuff, that those were part of a viral syndrome. We know that. But things like the anosmia and ageusia, which are loss of sense of smell and taste, that's generally not part of a viral infection. Also, we had a couple of new things that are out there, like the rash, like they call it corona toes, where they have like this purplish hue to them that looks kind of like frostbite. It's happening in people that are asymptomatic, and mostly in people under the age of 21. So we're having a lot of new things, but we can't really say those things are going to be added to the list until we actually sit down and get the list together of all the doctors that are reporting these things and correlate it with positive tests, whether you're symptomatic or not.
And Doctor, one of the things that we can say is that social distancing has worked. Face masks have worked. What do you say when you see an aircraft? We had one on our air just a few moments ago. I'm sure it's not the only one. An American Airlines jet from Charlotte to New York or vice versa was absolutely jam-packed. No social distancing, no face mask by the crew or by the passengers with recirculated air. How dangerous is that?
It's very dangerous. And I, as a citizen of the United States, would never have gotten on that plane. I mean, if I'm going to be responsible, then I would have made sure that I had the mask. And not only am I wearing the mask, once again, to protect you from me, I'm protecting me from you. It goes both ways. And so people think that they're just, they're taking it into their own hands, so they don't care, because if they die, it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, you are polluting, for lack of a better term, the air of that plane. So they shouldn't have planes. And one of my friends just flew in last night from North Carolina to New Orleans, and they said that they were on Delta, and the plane socially distanced. There was nobody within 6 feet of each other, and they did it just right. So they were really impressed by how the airline handled it. So I think they need to have some policies and some guidelines. The problem is that OSHA, which is the federal agency that's supposed to look at workplace safety, it really hasn't stepped up to say anything. They're the only ones that can enact any type of punitive measures against an employer to say that you are putting your employees at risk. So OSHA hasn't stepped up. So every company, every agency, every corporate agency, every municipality is going to have to come up with their own guidelines. And I'm actually consulting with several court systems to say, how are they going to reopen the courts? How are they going to reopen the schools? All these things are very important, but with the airlines never shut down, so they just acted like business as usual. If you have a rogue pilot or a rogue group of flight attendants.
So, Dr. Hebert, there seems to be, a group of people in the country who feel like, we're overdoing it. We really don't need these masks. You still see, we saw in California, people on the beaches over the weekend. There's still this group of people who still really don't quite believe the severity of this. So, and we're also seeing states reopening up. Texas is reopening up a few things on Friday. So is Miami, some golf courses and whatnot. If, in fact, people start going out over the next couple of weeks, and then, we see this huge spike in this big outbreak. Is that going to set the country back?
Sure. And there's a device I'll never forget. One of my staff attendings when I was in medical school said everybody likes to look through this device called the retrospectoscope to say what they should have done. The problem is that that device doesn't really exist. So yes, if we step out of this, and come back too early, I think it's going to be a disaster. The governor of Louisiana, with a lot of pressure from the economic community saying that he should reopen, he decided to extend to May 15th because you know what he's doing? He's trusting the data, not the date. And that's very important. There's no need to pick a date. The date will be picked by the data. The data will show when the date will be for things to be reopened safely. And if you follow anything but a scientist about that date, that's a bad thing. Because we just know that what does a politician or a businessman know about SARS-CoV-2? Nothing.
Well,
and they just don't. And there's nothing bad. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. They just don't. It's like
Well, listen, we listen to our family doctor, who is you, and we thank you so much, doctor. We got to run, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.